Hey, I'm Andy, and welcome to Rock, Roll, and Red Plaid. My guest this week is my original guitar teacher, the one that started it all, Steve Geyer. I have seen him here, there, and there over the years, but it was really those formal teaching lessons he gave me when I was 10 and 11 years old that really got me on the course as a lifelong guitar player. Check out this amazing throwback episode. I have been dying to get Steve on this show for probably since it started because I was explaining to someone the other day. I don't know if I told you this. Um, my my current guitar teacher, Raleigh Green, was the first guest on this show, and I said to somebody, "Well, if I'm Luke Skywalker, then that would make him Obi-Wan Kenobi, but that would make you, Steve, Yoda.
Yoda. I'm Yoda.
You would be Yoda, just in the scheme of guitar teachers and everything. Oh my goodness. Um, I cannot believe to think that it has been 20 years almost since I took my first lesson with you. Um,
20 years ago.
oh my goodness. I was gonna ask, as I always ask a lot of my first guests here, who was the person or band that made you want to start playing as a youngster?
Well, obviously, it was the Beatles.
Right. Ooh, a little
Um, but I think even more importantly, it was Dylan.
okay. It's funny because I can hear that in the little things you would play, um, the songs you would write. There would be, who I forget who said it. I'm not sure if I would entirely agree that no music is completely original anymore, but you can definitely hear the influences from one person to the next for sure. And when you did your stuff, I'm like, okay, and once I got my rock and roll ABCs there, it's like, okay, I know what he likes.
Yeah. It was well, don't forget, I was born in 51.
Wow. Okay.
So I would have gotten the tail end of the folk thing,
Sure.
and then the rock thing. Yeah,
Right.
I can recall specifically being in Chelsea, Mass, at around 11 years old, walking around and hearing the Beatles for the first time. That's without them on Ed Sullivan or anything. They just All My Lovin' came on, and I was smitten at that point. But
Mm.
when Ed Sullivan came on, that was it. I wanted to be John Lennon.
Didn't everybody? I mean, they either wanted to be John, Paul, Ringo, or George, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah, yeah.
I mean, actively, and I've said this a bunch of times for me, it was Brian May when I heard at a Celtics game when I was 8 years old over the PA, they were playing We Will Rock You, which was like one of the first things I think you helped me unlock. It felt like, not the sound, it was like the long lost Sanskrit. It's like, whoa, yes, I understand. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But it was just, I remember actively it was Brian May for me, and then figuring out and you helping me figure out that it was not this mysterious, unattainable thing. There's patterns to it, and there's things. It's not that it's easier than people think, but in ways it is, but in ways it certainly isn't.
Hmm.
Because there was, one of the last times we bumped into each other was at the Satriani show about almost 2 years ago, and I don't know if I told you this. The usher snuck me and my mom into the second row about two songs into the set. And
Yeah, or something. Yeah, I knew I knew had something special going on that day.
yeah,
I
I did. What was it?
Yeah, to see Satriani up close, my God, how special!
I mean, when I met him, like 2008 or nine, sat at his feet watching him play, and I'm just it's this. It was the same thing. It's like, uh, how do your hands move like that? Is this what and when I shook his hand, it's like I got big hands, but this guy was like, it's like no pun intended, like alien hands. It's like it must be a
Right.
thing. Him and Eddie, same thing. Apparently, Eddie Van Halen had these, despite not being
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I have plumbers.
plumber's hands.
I have my hands aren't big. I have I should have been a plumber.
Well, I mean, what's his name from John Petrucci from Dream Theater? It looks like he's got very stubby fingers, but he moves like so
Yeah.
crystal clearly like nobody's business.
Mm.
Um, what was the first, I guess you could say, first song you wrote that you were proud of and that you could show to people, I guess, did it take a while or did you start kind of right away?
Well, this is kind of interesting that you should even say that. I was told by my mother that I would, as a very young child, I would whistle or hum, and there would be original melodies. I
Really?
wasn't, yeah, I wasn't singing anybody else's music. But when I was about 15, 16 years old, I wrote this song called Another World. And Another World is a song about my attitude.
Hmm.
So I've always had an attitude my whole life that if I don't like something badly enough, I go into another world.
Hmm.
And and so that was my first one, and that's been sort of my mo my whole life.
Why do I remember that title? I feel like you've played that for me, and I just when you said that just now, like, why do I feel like I couldn't sing it back, but I know it. I don't know what it is, but
In a minor key, I used to like minor keys. It went from
yes,
a D minor to a G minor type of thing.
this is
But
sounding very familiar. I don't know why, but it is.
yeah, so that was really my first song. Then right after that, I gave up music and I wanted to be a football player. So so I more or less did that, and I didn't continue writing songs until I was in the military and I started writing again.
Oh, okay. Oh, I mean, again, it's like I guess you and I again in parallel because I remember doing similar stuff and maybe not so much whistling, but it was like just kind of these humming or scatting little melodies to myself, and somebody would ask me, "Oh, what song is that?" I go, "I don't know."
That's right.
And to this day, that's how I come up with stuff. I'm like, "Is that somebody else's?" No, oh, I guess it's mine.
I'll take it. I'll
I
claim it.
guess sure, I wrote that. Why not? Oh my goodness. But I mean, you've probably had more than dozens of students over the years, if not maybe hundreds. I don't know, but I don't know. I seem to have what?
Maybe 1,000.
Oh my goodness. Well, you are Yoda then. I mean, come on.
Well, I used to teach at the height. I used to teach 65 students a week.
Oh, yes. No, sorry, that sounds a little daunting even to me. You know. Oh my
Machine. It wasn't just guitar. I taught piano.
right, yeah. And I remember meeting a handful of different of your students. I couldn't remember any of their names, but I just remember a few of them uh, leading up to my point here. Went to day jams that one year when you were the director, which was a basket of fun for me. Maybe you remember otherwise.
Yeah, I remember otherwise. That was a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, there was a lot. I remember you named the buildings. Like there was the Sting building, there was the Springsteen building, there was the Bono building. I'm like, why is the Bono building the church? But okay, never mind.
That was a nice church, though.
That's, can I just say, of all the places I've played, why is it that churches always sound sonically so great?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know what
Well,
it is. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they get great material into
Mhm.
those. Yeah, not like they get plywood.
No.
Yeah, they yeah, they build them right.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they certainly. I just remember all I did was play one chord when we were doing a check or whatever. And I just even I was 10 or 11, I was, and I was just like, it sounds better in here. I don't know why, but it does. It's just the room. That's this first
I
experience.
love playing in churches.
Mm,
I mean, besides, like knowing the priests or the rabbis or the
right.
not, I used to love being in that atmosphere. But yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I remember that was my kind of uh first time playing in a band ever, was with that kind of experience there. And so many things I learned, I still think about to this day, no matter how many bands I've been in over the years now. It's just like those things. It's like you gotta, first of all, you gotta get along with the people first, because no amount of talent is gonna, you know, be good for a person who you want to deck in the face.
Yeah. Oh,
You
you're
know,
right.
none of it, and then I don't think I had that experience with any of the kids who I was playing with at the time, but I know other people did. Definitely. At the time I couldn't wrap my head around it, but now that I've seen, it's like over the years, it's like, oh yeah, they didn't get along, so no matter how good they both were individually, it just wasn't going to work. Just sometimes that's just how it is. I just heard a comment that David Lee Roth just recently said. He says, "I'm celebrating my 50th year of when Alex and Eddie and I started arguing about what song goes first."
Yeah.
But of all the conflict they had, talk about lightning in a bottle. Those are that first, and it sometimes can happen and it can work. It's just a matter of, what do they call it? Separate buses, separate tour managers.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, and I'm sure you know this by now.
Hmm.
When you become like a star, you are only the tip of the pyramid.
Mm,
And in Eddie's case, you don't take anything away from him because totally phenomenal.
mm.
His father was a concert pianist,
Yeah,
just like with Steve from Aerosmith.
yeah,
His father was a concert pianist.
yeah.
And so, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, and then you pass it on to Wolfgang now, Eddie's son, and he, when he does his records now as the his band Mammoth, when he does it in the studio, he plays all the instruments.
Is that right?
Yeah, you go listen to that. That's all him.
I'd like to hear maybe that up.
Oh my goodness, I went to see a band that I've wanted to see for years, Alter Bridge, and they opened. Well, excuse me, Wolfgang opened for them. And that was, I knew he was going to be good. I didn't know he was going to be that good. Put it that way. Like
Yeah.
obviously, you like you said, the lineage and that whole thing. But he's on his, and he's not much older than me. I'd say he's probably in his early 30s. He's just on a level that, for what he's doing, it's like, wow, hey,
Yeah. You were told things at 3 years old,
yeah,
like
that.
Bonham's son. I saw Bonham's son at a concert.
Hmm.
He was phenomenal,
Yeah, again, taught things that as a young child that most people spend lifetimes trying to catch up to.
Figure out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I always like asking, this is one of my favorite ones to anybody. Nightmare gigs are always fun to talk about because in hindsight they you can laugh at them, but usually at the time they're always kind of, I don't know. You have any ones that stand out in your mind?
Well,
Oh no.
I've I've worked with female vocalists almost the whole time, so they hundreds of nightmare.
I mean, the phrase "pulling the diva card" is there for a reason.
Vocalists comes with the territory, but geez, to narrow it down to one gig, there's so many. Let's see. Damn. Well, I don't know.
Give me a few if you need, whatever.
Well, one of my biggest regrets is we opened up for BB King, and at the time I didn't like the blues at all. And I was with Laurie Melanson. Laurie was my partner for a long time,
Hmm.
and she loved the blues. But I
Hmm.
was so we opened up for BB King, and I said, "Let's go." And I never heard a note from BB King.
Oh,
I know that's my. If I look back, I said that's my biggest regret.
I mean, it, to I mean, you just outed yourself, but you could have said, "Yeah, I opened for BB King. Yeah, awesome."
Yeah, it didn't make it. I used to open up for a lot of a lot of
Sure,
people,
sure.
but that was the biggest regret.
Yeah. Just,
That would have been life changing, I think.
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, he, as far as I know, very, very seldom played rhythm. He would just play these little pockets of lead stuff.
Right.
But it was what did, I think it was Phil Anselmo from Pantera, of all people, said this. He says, "When you can make a note wiggle, oh,
You know something? I'll tell you, he knew what he was doing.
yeah,
He knew his progressions. He knew the theory.
yeah,
I wouldn't have thought so, but and he wasn't your typical 1-4-5 blues guy.
no,
You know,
no,
he did like popular progressions. So he would have had a different approach. So
yeah, it's like
uh,
outside the box a little bit."
yeah, yeah, he was the end of that whole big blues movement back then. But
One of my favorite quote unquote nightmare gigs. It wasn't, this was a bad moment, but it didn't ruin the whole gig, thankfully. I was playing in a cover band, and I've told this a million times, so we'll probably cut this out of the podcast. But I was playing in a cover band of all people
Much, much later.
and
oh
was planning to stick the one. I mean, I think it was like Air Conley. It's just like sailing over people.
no, you always had that sense of uh, bigger than life, right? Your mentality, even when you were young, even when you first started, it was you had this uh, big sense. This is way bigger than what it really is. But I'm I'm
Way out of
sure
proportion.
grandiose. This is grandiose. You were going to entertain.
I mean, I mean, hate's a strong word, but I've always disliked the shoegazers. Like, oh, here's my song. It's coming out next. The record company says I gotta play it. No, enjoy it. And like, yeah, I like this song. You guys like this song. Let's enjoy it together. You know?
Yeah, that's the opposite of my thinking. I always figure people don't like my songs. You know, you know.
I it's come from various sources. I don't know. I mean, it's part of me wanting to be Brian May and Freddie Mercury at the same time.
Oh well, those are big. We actually saw Queen a few months ago at
Really,
the Tea Garden.
I was there on this. It was
Adam,
yeah, with Adam. Yeah, it was.
unbelievable.
Were you there
Unbelievable.
the Sunday or the Monday?
We went to Monday.
I went Sunday. Okay, yeah, yeah. Um, Worth showing now because yeah, this is where I was sitting. That's not zoomed in. That was right there.
Wow, you're on the floor?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, well,
absolutely.
we were 5 rows behind on like mezzanine.
Oh, okay, yes, that's nice.
Super close too, but yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's just
Go with.
it was just me. I could only I could only afford one ticket if I'm gonna sit there, you know.
Oh my God,
It was
worth it.
I oh my goodness, it's weight in gold. My goodness. I have still right on my side of my desk here was the bill here, whatever you call it, the playbook or whatever or
Oh
program. Oh my goodness, because that really felt like full circle. Because I first heard Queen ever in my life at the Garden, and then
wow.
to see them for the first time ever at the Garden, and kind of be in there, and yeah, it really felt full circle. Um,
Oh yeah, nice.
he plays with a coin too. I remember reading that, and I was just, Brian. He plays with the sixpence,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, 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 yeah. We had
and
a couple picks. I went with my girlfriend's son,
mhm.
and uh, and we got some. I guess they give you. They must have paid a lot of money for it. I just went for free, and we got a lot of tchotchkes. We call them tchotchkes. So we got the little picks
Yeah,
and and then a bunch of little things,
nice,
necklace, a whole bit.
sure. Oh yeah,
Nice,
the yeah.
beautiful.
You know who I've been really, you talk about the term revival comes around in like genres and stuff. Like I feel like for a while he's been around for a while now, but Joe Bonamassa, I really feel like is a guy who never forgets older guys like BB King or Albert King or Stevie Ray or Clapton or these guys that go way back and the British blues guys because it's just one of those things where it feels like if we're not careful, we'll forget about they'll get lost in translation. But it's like guys like Bonamassa that are going, hey, if you like what I'm doing, I'm basically, and he'll even say it, I'm ripping off this guy, you know?
Yeah. I live in Ipswich.
Hmm.
We have these little clubs,
Yeah.
and they're run down, beaten up. They look like they should have been torn down 20 or 30 years ago. But
Oh, yeah.
we we're lucky to have these blues guys come in,
Mm,
and they continue that tradition of
fantastic.
old blues. Yeah.
There's a song on the last EP I did called the Red Plaid Blues, which of course I have ideas of where this came from, but at any time I guess now people think of like anybody who's a friend of mine to be like they'll see red plaid. It's like, oh, where's Andrew? He must be in the vicinity somewhere.
Okay.
I had a friend who passed away a few years ago, but she always used to say, Andrew, if you were a cartoon character, you would be wearing an exactly this. She goes, you'd be wearing the red plaid shirt, a band t-shirt underneath, and blue jeans, and perhaps your Canadian national hat. I'm like, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
This is kind of
He always
the
has
aesthetic, you know.
identity, which is great.
Yeah. Um, let's just I don't know. I mean, it's always fun to have some kind of something that keeps you standing out a little bit, you know. So what is next for Sir Stephen? What are you
Oh, well, I'm
any
seven.
any new Technicolor Dreamcoat musical masterpieces that you're creating?
No, nothing like that.
No.
Me and my girlfriend wrote a song called Girl at the Bar. I think that was the last thing I did. But for the most part, what I want to do, like in this little community, is I want to do as much of my original music as I can. I just want to resurrect, you know, I think that would be a nice retirement plan for me. So I get together with these people, and okay, I'll shed my soul a little bit, and I'll teach you a little, do what I have to do. But what I want from it is doing my original music.
I hear you. Yeah.
Well, I'm not around a musical instrument. I can't. I can't.
Well, honestly, I'm not either. All my stuff is up on the third floor at the moment. But we'll get over to Gulu Gulu probably for some album release fun in a couple weeks. So and
Okay, yeah, pretend.
yeah, something like they have the open mics on Thursday, and I hope to
Where that's in Beverly, right?
Salem on Essex Street there.
Oh, in this place.
But but oh man, just mighty times and still more to be had.
So that's all I want to do. That's I like the idea of choosing one of your songs and reliving it for that 3 minutes.
Mm,
Because while you're writing the song, you're obviously in a positive mood,
yeah,
right? I mean, you could be melancholy or something like that, but even that, it's so distant. But
yeah,
for the part, your songs are positive,
yeah.
and it's nice to just revisit them live and drag some people into it.
You always taught me to be a lifer, to play for life, and that's just what I will be doing. So thank you, my friend.
Like,
Lifer. Hey.
yeah, oh, I'm
Oh
off on that.
man. All right. And I think on that note, we have another episode. Rock, Roll, and Red Plaid Podcast. Signing off.
I thank you. I thank you for this. This is fun.
Yes.
For more of my original content, visit my website, www.andyconley.com.